The map that we know of today of the Middle East was basically shaped by many of the events of the First World War. Prior to that time, the Ottoman Empire controlled much of that area. The question we wanted to ask today is how nation states were created in the Middle East and how did nationalism play a role? Some of the key words that we want to look into is nationalism and nation states. What do they mean? Nationalism is excessive devotion to an interest or culture of particular nation states. A nation state is a political organization under which people inhabit a sovereign state. Cultural boundaries match with political boundaries. The map that you see here is a map of Middle East in 1914. As you can see, Ottoman Empire covers vast majority of the area of what we see in this map, along with Persia. The Ottoman Empire ruled a very vast territory, which we know as today's modern Middle East, some parts of the Balkans and Anatolia regions, and even North Africa. They're multi-ethnic, multi-religious. They're considered a world power and a significant player in European politics. We do know that the Ottoman Empire does decline and eventually wane, and big majority of the reason is how the Europeans imperialized, which was basically became stronger. They became westernized in a sense. Many of the great powers of Europe became stronger. They controlled more of the resources, and a lot of the influence negatively affected the Ottoman Empire into losing majority of their control and majority of their lands. The Ottomans try to combat a lot of this growth and the influence that the Europeans had. They try to use new techniques and equip with up-to-date weapons and all that kind of stuff, but they weren't able to eventually modernize to the point where how Europeans were able to. And many of these things led to basically what led to World War I. World War I is when the Ottoman Empire basically fell. They sided with the Germans. They led an Armenian genocide. Many of the British and French forces convinced Arabs to revolt against the Ottomans. And at the end, the empire collapsed. The Ottoman Empire did collapse. This led to the Mandate system, which the French and British control were sanctioned by the League of Nations. The Syria and Lebanon went to France, and the British took over Palestine and 3 Ottoman provinces. Turkey started to modernize. The last sultan in 1923 was driven out of Turkey. Mustafa Kemal became president and transformed Turkey into a modern state. He eliminated Arabic elements and the Turkish language and adopted the Roman alphabet. Same process occurred in Persia too, and Reza Khan used many of Kemal's examples and used it for Iran. The rise of nationalism led to an Arab-Israeli dispute over land. They led to many wars. Both the Jews and Palestinian Arabs claimed the land as their religious homeland. Prejudice abroad, the Jews turned into Zionism, which basically Jewish nationalism, advocating that the Jews move back to their homeland, and the Balfour Declaration proposed Jewish homeland in Jerusalem was in 1917. This led to many hostilities between the Jews and Arabs. As we know it today, Turkey continues to be one of the few democracies in the Middle East. The violence continues between the Jews and the Arabs in Israel. And Iran has been an Islamic theocracy since 1978 when Mohammed Shah Pahlavi was overthrown. Due to many of these circumstances, including nationalism, a lot of these nation states such as Israel, Palestine, France, amongst other nation states, were created.